So we were discussing the reasons why children do not speak in the classroom, right? Generally, they hesitate or they do not speak, right? Most of the children are shy. The reason we were talking that ma'am aptly answered, Smita ma'am said that children many times they do not have sufficient vocabulary, they do not understand the language, right? And in addition to that, sometimes physical reasons are there. The child stammers while speaking, or sometimes psychological reasons are there. Okay. And sometimes the child has a fear in his mind, and many times the parents or the teachers are the reason of that fear, because at home all the time whenever they say anything, they are told to shut their mouth, right? Not to speak, right? Not to speak when elders are talking, right? So that is right, when they should speak and when they should not, but all the time we should keep the child to keep quiet is also not right. So fear of mistakes, the child is afraid that I will make mistake and other students will laugh, the teacher will laugh at me. Then getting students talk is one of the most difficult things for many teachers. If you speak to the children informally outside the classroom, they will speak freely, right? So one is that when they will make mistake, the other children will mock at them. They will make fun of them. They will laugh. At home, they are always made to keep quiet. Lack of reading and listening. Why they do not speak? They speak informally. The peer pressure is also there. Peer pressure, peer means their classmates, the children of their age. Peer pressure plays very important role in the lives of these students, in the life of everyone, particularly when we are in our teenage or when the students are in their teenage. The peer pressure plays very vital role. Means what my friends are doing, right? They keep observing. If my friend is doing that, I will also do. So if a child is in a good company, right? If his friends are studying, if they are punctual, he also starts doing that. So peer pressure works. Not only in teenage it works, it has a maximum influence, but even in at other stages of life also it works. But in teenage it has a maximum impact. In informal context, they speak, but when it comes to speak formally, when you call them in front and tell them to say something, they do not come. What can we do if the topic is of their interest? For example, if you tell them to speak about a cricket match, if the child loves cricket, if the child loves football, you tell the child to talk about football or about the match he saw, right? About the regular football practice that he does. The child will speak freely. You can ask them to talk about dance, to describe, right? Or the movie that they saw, their favorite movie, and they will speak, right? Their favorite speech, serial, careers, books. These are some of the things that if the teacher can tap the interest of the child, right? The child can start speaking on his own with the self motivation, right? Spontaneously. Choose reason and context to talk. So while choosing the reason, the teacher should choose appropriate reason for which the child will speak. Extrinsic communication and intrinsic communication. There are two types, right? So when the child speaks with a motivation from inside and when the child speaks with the motivation from outside, right? No one can check their mistakes outside. When they speak outside, who is there to keep watching and pointing out their errors? So outside, they speak freely. Now, I told you that sometimes there are language barriers. If someone is speaking Tamil near us, how will we respond? Because we don't understand. Probably we will try to do some gestures, postures, and try to communicate. Sometimes attitude barrier is also there. That teacher is bad and I don't want to understand what he's telling. And the child deliberately ignores and does not pay attention purposefully. So that's the attitude barrier. Perception barrier. The child does not understand the concept, right? So we talked about barriers. Let us see the sequence of learning. When a child starts speaking English or starts learning any language, how does the child start it? Yes, dear teachers, when any child start learning language, or take any individual start learning language, what does that child first do, or that person first do? What is the sequence of learning language? What do you think is the first step? Yes, what do you think is the first step of learning language?
He should listen what others are saying. Listening will be the first step.
Excellent, ma'am. So listening is the first step. You know, when you did not admit your child in class 1, the child was still talking to you at home. He was asking you for tea, for milk, right? For water, right? For food. So many things the child used to communicate to you. But at that time, the child had not learned language formally. But how did he learn? He learned by listening. So listening is the first step of learning language. After listening comes, what do you think is the second thing?
Understanding, sir.
Uh, okay, good effort. After listening, understanding. You're right. At intellectual level in the mind, the child tries to understand. Okay, but in learning, first child listens, then the
Trying
second.
to speak.
Yes, exactly. So LS, listening, speaking. So the
Yeah.
child learns to speak. He communicates in small words, using small words initially. If you go to places like Ajanta, Ellora, you will find that uneducated Marathi people, or those third, fourth, fifth standard pass children or men, they speak very fluently. And British, French, American understand what they speak in English. But their education is only fourth, fifth standard many times. So why is it possible? It's possible because they learn it just by listening. They are exposed to quality English. They are exposed to quality English, listening to quality English speakers. So the first step, I think, when we want our children to be good speakers, expose our children to quality English, at least for 10-15 minutes every day. I will tell you a few techniques, few tricks, how you can expose children to quality English. So first step is listening. Second step is speaking, the second sequence. After speaking, the child learns to read. And after reading, it starts writing. So this is a natural sequence. But interestingly enough, teachers, if you see, if you observe around us, you will find that what most of the people and most of the schools do, they go in a reverse sequence. Am I right, ma'am? Smita, ma'am? Most of the schools and most of the teachers
Yes, sir. Yes.
go in a reverse
Correct.
sequence.
Yes,
Means,
sir.
yeah, before speaking and before listening, they directly start them teaching ABCD or abacada. You tell me, when our children started speaking, did we tell them, did we teach them ABCD first, or we directly started speaking in Marathi with them or Hindi, right? We started speaking and they started listening.
Sorry, sir.
So when we started teaching language to our children, we did not start it formally, the first thing.
Hello.
We started it informally. So we started communicating with them, right? And we started communicating, and our children started listening. And after listening us, they started speaking, right? So listening is related to speaking, and those who are good listeners become good speaker. Remember, those who are good listeners, they become good speakers. Listening is the input and speaking is the output. When there will be no input, from where the output will come, right? The next point that I was talking, that was the sequence in which the language is taught in most of the schools in our country. So first, the children should be made to listen, but in our schools, most of the schools, the children are made to write first. And after once they are taught writing, they are told to read. And when they read, then they are told to speak and listen, right? So the sequence goes reverse, and therefore our children cannot speak properly. They come in 11th and 12th standard, but still they hesitate while speaking. Dear friends, the most important thing we need to remember the natural sequence of learning: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Instead of going reverse, if you follow the natural sequence, the child can acquire the linguistic skills very fast. How to initiate speaking? Now, how we can encourage the child? General to specific. We can talk about general thing first, right? And then we can see what is the specific interest of a child. And then we can talk about the topic of that specific interest of child. So the child will spontaneously respond. Something that is known to the child we will start with, and then we'll talk about the unknown thing in the language. This is also a principle of general learning, but it's also true to the language. Informal to formal. This one thing I have added here, right? If you talk to them outside the class, they will speak to you more freely. In the beginning, quantity matters and later quality, remember. So let the child speak first. Don't worry about how the child speaks. In the beginning, the child is speaking, that is important for us. Even if it is speaking wrong, no problem. Even if the children are speaking wrong initially, don't pinpoint their mistake in the initial stage. If you pinpoint their mistakes in the initial stage, the child will get discouraged. The child may get discouraged, right? First, you appreciate. You can say that their presentation is good or they're speaking nicely. And then gradually, step by step, later on, when the child is alone, you can correct the child, but not in front of all. Think of the ways to decrease teachers' talk. Think of the ways to decrease teachers' talk. We should speak less, the child should speak more, right? Our role is just as what do you think is a teacher's role in a new education policy? And what is the new approach say about it?
So teacher should actually they should as a role their role should be as a facilitator. Only just guide them, just tell them once instead, and then let them do on their own.
Great.
So if they will play the facilitator role, the child will get a chance to speak more, and the system should be child centered instead of the teacher centric.
True. So you're right. The role of a teacher is a role of a facilitator, one who makes the work easy for a child. The role of a teacher is a role of a guide. The teacher is just a guide. The teacher is just a facilitator who makes learning easy. So the child, we have to just guide the child. We have to just tell the child what he has to tell. You know, there is an interesting definition of teacher. The best teacher is the one who teaches the least. The best teacher is the one who teaches the least. It's interesting. It does not mean that the teacher does not teach literally, but it means that the teacher makes the child learn on his own. The teacher guides and motivates the child to learn on his own. That is the meaning. And the success of a teacher is in making the child a lifelong learner, right? So to teach the child to learn on his own, that is the true aim. If everything we will tell and if everything we will teach, then once the child leaves the school, how he will adopt the new skills. Think of the ways to decrease teachers' talk. Their involvement makes it more interesting for them. See, when we get involved in anything, we get more interested in it. As long as we are sitting just aside and no one is asking us, right? And or we are not participating in it, that matter does not create excitement in us. So it is very imperative that we should involve each and every student in the activities. I talked about intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Lack of vocabulary, Smita ma'am initially told about it. So it is one of the cause. As far as this particular point is concerned, I would like to suggest that choose one field at a time. For example, cooking. So tell few words related cooking or kitchen at once, right? So the child starts communicating about kitchen and the things in the kitchen. Next time you give them a group of words about medicines or doctor, the child starts talking about doctor and his activities. Next time you give them a group of words related to construction, and the child starts talking about that particular field. So a group of words that is related to one particular topic is called a register of that particular subject or field. For example, diagnosis, symptom, right? Remedy, these are the register, medical register. These words come in medical register, right? So a technical term is register. Grammatical knowledge is one thing, but at later stage, we should tell children that initially they should speak and not to worry about grammar. See, in pre-primary and primary, see, teacher to teacher means suppose you want to teach children one communication, communicating in particular situation, or you want to teach them about introducing themselves, right? So the teacher stands in front of them. So he plays the role of A and B first, right? He first says, "Hi, I am XYZ," right? Then he moves to other side and says, "Hi, I am," the other person tells the name. Then the teacher again comes to another side and he says, "How are you?" And he goes to other side, says, "I am fine." And then, "Nice to meet you." Then he comes this side, "Glad to meet you too," right? Now the teacher did the role of A and B. Then the teacher writes the communication on a board, right? And then the teacher asks the question to the students, right? "Hi, I am XYZ." And then the child plays the role of B, any child, right? And the teacher again responds. Like that, the communication is completed. So this teacher does with 3-4 students in the class, and then student to student, then the teacher plays the role of B and the students play the role of A, right? The student asks the teacher, "Hi, I am Robin. What is your name?" Then the teacher tells, "My name is," and then the student says, "Nice to meet you, sir," or "Nice to meet you." And then you say, "Nice to meet you too," right? So this happens. So few students do this, few students ask teacher, and then one by one, then student to student, one student asks the other student asks the other student, that way. So this is called as, this is teacher to teacher, teacher to student, student to teacher, and student to student. And then 50-50 students are made to stand in 2 lines in front of each other and in pair. And then one student asks the other student, then the other student asks the first student. So like that, one student plays the role of A, other student plays the role of B. And then once the communication is complete, then the student, B student is given the role of A student. Like that, a communication is taught to the child. I hope you understood what is this, AA and BB. There is another, this is particularly effective in pre-primary and lower primary classes, ma'am. And all the students are involved, they enjoy. Initially, in first 2 minutes of the class, you can tell them to do some activity, like maybe Simon says, right? Simon says, "Touch your nose." Simon says, "Touch your ears," right? Or you can tell them that don't do what I tell you, do what I do, right? And you can just do something and say something different, right? And like that, the students' presence of mind is also checked, and the students become alert. And the kinesthetic learner, all the learners in general become active. The research has recently showed that if we do some sort of physical activity before studying, we can retain more, right? This is actually proven. there was an article in Times of India about it. I had an occasion to share views with one of the chairman of a uh, school group. There is a big group of institutions in India of that particular school. The chairman I was talking about, he said that whenever he goes to any important meeting, he does 5-10 minutes work in gym and then he goes for the meeting. So you can see that actually is that small physical activity, energizes, activates all your brain and all your body and nerves. So yes, that is the importance of warming up. So in lower classes, this warming up should be done for 2 minutes. There are different things, right? So I just told you this. Simon says that you can make them do some other activities like maybe fire in the mountain or maybe some other activities, right? Just do as I do. You can do few actions or you can do some mime and you can tell them to identify what mime you are doing, right? So a 2-minute warming up you do for the children, and don't worry, the children, keep them relaxed and happy. If a child is happy, the child learns more. You cannot make a child sad, angry, and then child cannot learn. In a happy mood, the child studies better. What is more important than how? So how the child is speaking, that is not important at initial stage. Remember, the child is speaking, that is important. So some strategies I would share with you for the communication. Communicative approach. Few things we should keep in mind. Suppose we are conducting some activities, we should also think how the children are sitting. If they are sitting in a circle, they can maintain proper eye contact with each other and they can speak properly with each other. Sometimes if you want to make eye contact with all the students, or you also want students to make eye contact with each other and communicate with each other, make them sit in a semicircle, right? Sometimes you can make them sit in pairs. You can give them a topic and tell them to discuss, right? And in group wise, you can tell them to sit. You can make many groups in the class and make them sit separately and give them a task, right? Some at times even a single presentation is also possible, but this is an era of collaborative learning, teachers. See, in 21st, we need to teach our children 21st century skill. This education will be outdated, I'm telling you. This will be outdated, right? And if the child just knows his textbook, he will be of no use outside, right? When the children will go to the market, 85%, almost 80-85% jobs that are in existence today will not be there after 10-15 years, right? So if we have to prepare children for 21st century, we need to develop in them the critical thinking skill, critical thinking, collaboration, right? Communication skills, problem solving. So we need to expose our children to this situation. We should give them opportunity to express themselves so that they can communicate. Good teacher goes to learners level, particularly, lower classes. And, content-based learning. You must have completed a course on Diksha. Personalized teaching. Personalized teaching, need-based teaching, and not a time-bound teaching. Means teach the child what he needs and not what you know, right? Teach the child till he teach the child till he understands. You help and guide him. Let him learn on his own. You don't teach him everything. Just tell the child how to learn it and help him wherever he needs. It is not so that we have given particular time and in that time only a particular course should be completed. That is not the philosophy of, that is not there in CBE. Personalized time, personalized interest, and personalized needs of the child need to be considered. Means the old time has gone when everything we used to do for mark sheet and marks. Now that will not be done. The assessment would be done, assessment for learning, right? The aim of assessment is learning now. The aim of assessment is not marks. The aim of assessment is learning. The aim of assessment is measuring the mastery of skills, right? So let us see the next part, fun learning activities. What are the activities that we can do in the class? Peer work. Peer means a pair work, right, with two students. Group work, division of class in 3, 4, 5 groups. We can give a task to each group. You can give a separate paragraph to each group, tell them to prepare that, and then you can tell one by one group to come ahead and explain that group to the remaining, explain that paragraph to the other groups, right? You can also see the collaboration, how they help each other, right? They will explain each other. One child does not understand, the other child will explain. If the two don't understand, the third child will explain. So each one of them will explain each other. In the course of this learning, they discuss with each other, they develop their spoken skills, they develop their listening skills, they also come closer to each other, they start understanding each other. So many things are there. Give a lot of practice to child for speaking, give him opportunity to answer in the class, to speak his views, to let a child give feedback how he felt about particular thing. There are other things, speech competitions you can conduct. But while conducting the competition, we need to keep one thing in mind, that the children who are not winning, they should not get discouraged. If one child is only getting motivated and others are discouraged, then our purpose of organizing that activity is failure, right? Our purpose is to motivate everyone, all inclusive. So speech, oratory, EPS, effective public speaking, then debates. The right way of conducting these competitions, you can sometimes come and sit with me, I will explain to you, because there are various ways of conducting these activities. And there are some standard ways which are, at international level and national level, those ways are used. So even in speech also, effective public speaking also, debates are also conducted at national level, international level, but the rules are different. For example, sometimes the group debates are there. We conducted one that was a group debate kind of thing, or a team of two students, right? And then they give chance, one student speaks in favor and one against, right? And then they speak for 4 to 5 minutes, and then they are asked some questions by the other participants, 1 or 2 questions, and judges ask the question. That's all. And then both the contestants marks total, and then the winner is declared, like that, whoever scores more as a team. So that is a debate. But we saw debate means 4-5 student that we did. Yeah, okay, that can also be done. But the debate, if you want to conduct as a competition, it can be done in the way I told you, a team of 2. Then there is brainstorming technique. Brainstorming, a topic or a proposal is kept in front of the group or team, and they are told to express themselves freely on that topic. So it's a free discussion, right? And many new ideas come up many times, right? There is nothing final in brainstorming. Only it is just to get ideas from everyone. Then buzz group, small groups are made in the classroom or organization in a meeting, and each group is given some topic to discuss, and then that group comes up with some ideas. Reach the consensus is you give a topic to a group and tell them to come to one opinion at the end, right? Means the topic is controversial and there are so many opinions about it, but you tell them, okay, you discuss this and come to one opinion at the end. So the topic is so that they cannot come to one opinion. So their convincing skills, their expressing ability, their listening skills, speaking skills, everything is checked, and it is developed in the course of action, right? So reach the consensus is one activity. Individual presentation of topic and group presentation of, yes ma'am.
I have one question. Can I?
Please, welcome.
Sir, how modern techniques can help in learning of this English teaching and speaking? How it will be help?
Modern technique means which technique you are talking about?
Whatever devices nowadays we are using. So how it will be work?
I said that you should give exposure to your students to quality English, right? For example, you can now suppose you are teaching to second or third standard, right? You can show them one day in a week. You can show them a nice movie in English that they can understand, a cartoon movie maybe, right? For example, Kung Fu Panda, okay, and the children just enjoy that. They listen and they try to understand that because they have an interest in that. You can play for higher classes. You can play audio news, English news podcast, right? So there you can use the technology, right? You can tell them to speak. You can record their voices, and later on you can listen to them, and you can find out where they are making the errors, and you can give them feedback, right? This you can make the use of technology.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, one more question I have.
Please.
Surrounding is really affected on the students while
Right.
learning or means basically English language.
You're right.
Because English is not their mother tongue.
Hmm.
So how we can encourage that students while learning the English?
Yeah. See, the
Because the
first thing,
students also came from the rural areas.
rural area. Yes. The first thing that we should speak in English in front of them. We should set good example in front of them. We should expose them to quality English. We should make them habituated with reading easy books of their level, right? And gradually we should appreciate their small efforts also, right? And gradually you will find the changes. You tell your students you can give them some cartoon books, issue them some cartoon books from the library, tell them to read. When they will see the picture, they will get so much interested that they will even find the meanings of the words, right? And you speak with them in English, right? And gradually they will get more and more interested in that. Okay, so at home they do not get that atmosphere, but here we can provide that. There are two factors: one is genetic and one is surrounding. So surrounding outside is not in our control, but yes, in school campus, school premises, it is in our control. And the way I told you, every week expose them to a nice quality English, maybe a 30 minutes cartoon or 15 minutes cartoon in English, but right, or maybe speech, or maybe verbal story or something in a animation form, right? The student listen to them carefully, and then you can ask them some questions, or you can ask them some questions before showing that story, and at the end you can ask them the answers. So group presentation of topic. Always keep your classes funny, ma'am, right? Each one of us have tensions. I have, you have, everyone has. The life starts with problem and ends with problem, right? The child, when the child takes birth, it comes out crying, right? While dies because of the problems generally, in some problem in the body. So problem and people we cannot escape in our lives. We need to teach our children that we cannot escape problem and people in our lives. We have to adjust with people, we have to work with people, and we have to solve problem wherever we are in the world. We need to teach them, and we need to make them realize this. Keep your class humorous. Keep your class humorous. Children love humor. If we will go in the class with 12 o'clock on our face, the children will become serious. Keep smile on your face. Everyone, right? So when I started teaching this, I found that the popular teachers in the world are those who use humor in their class. Create some humor, right? See some of the funny things in English. Open the window, let the atmosphere come in, right? How the atmosphere can come in. Call your parents tomorrow, both mother and father. Parent means both, but still the tag is there. The principal is revolving in the corridor. Instead of moving, it's revolving. Will you hang the picture? Else I will hang myself. See, so how is it possible, right? And means the meaning changes. Sometimes the children speak like this. We also sometimes, right? But this is, we can laugh, right? But in a light way. And then we can, what is right to tell that we can use a humorous way. But the child should not feel that we are ridiculing or making fun of him or her, right? So When we laugh, the child should also laugh. Remember, don't try to talk in front of my back. See, this is a funny sentence. Okay, pick up the paper and fall in the dustbin. No, throw in the dustbin. So often this is because the person who has written or spoken this is trying to translate the sentence from a vernacular mother tongue to English. Open 7 days a week and weekend too, right? So just I told you this because my message is keep your classes humorous. Tell them, share some joke with them, make them laugh a bit, right?
Peer work, group work, lot of practice, speech, EPS, debates, brainstorming, buzz group, reach the consensus, individual presentation, group presentation of topic. These are the best activities to develop spoken skills among the students. While preparing, the teacher should clearly decide what the students will do and what he will do. He should use flashcard. He should have ready instructions. He should have clear aim and objective of his activity. He should monitor the activity and he should evaluate and give positive feedback to the students. He should not interfere in the activities. A good teacher ensures that his students remain laughing and happy during the lesson. He plans his lesson properly. He plans the events. A good teacher keeps his lesson plan ready before going inside the class. He has an event plan, he has activity plan. If you want your students to be good speakers of English or any other language, expose them to the quality audios of that language. जो read करेगा वो lead करेगा. So make your students habituated with reading. Develop reading habit among your students. Best listeners are the best speakers. So if you want to be best Tansen, you need to be best Kansen first. Use adjective games, verbal games, comparison games, quizzes in the classroom so that the students will express more and more, and activities like reading challenge, storytelling challenge, effective public speaking, debate, dramatization, narration, summarizing will create more and more interest among the students, and they will actively participate and speak, and it will naturally result in better fluency and spoken skills among the students. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe, and to get a notification of my new videos, don't forget to press the bell icon. Thank you.